guys. Today I'm going to be ranking every Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. So, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the series, so let's start. So, let's start off with the original one. Fuck these cringe ads, man. But, I'm going to put the original one in the S tier. I mean, the story is pretty good, but the main reason why it's so high is because it's the original. So, I feel like putting it below S tier just isn't right. Next up is Roderick Rules. We'll put it in A tier. I don't think it's like I don't think it's S tier because it's not like it doesn't have the factor of being the original, but it's still a good book. And my favorite part about it is probably the Winter Talent Show. And also, Roderick kind of gets his karma for being such a bad brother to Greg. Even though that's how almost every older brother is. The last straw, in my opinion, is S tier. This is the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book I've ever read, and it's just about Greg's relationship with his dad. And but I also like how Greg kind of tries soccer and, and also tries to get a girl and stuff like that. This book basically has a third wheel in it with the Valentine's dance. After that is Dog Days. And I don't really like this book too much, but people like it. So I'll give it it's like high C tier. It's like I like the boardwalk part at the end, but it's not like in my opinion it's not great. Next up is The Ugly Truth, and I'll put it in A tier. I'll put it below Roderick Rules. It's like a lot is going on in this book. I think it's about Greg going through puberty and also like there's a big family gathering and and Greg misses Jordan Jury's party because he has to go to Uncle Gary's wedding. Even though this is his fourth wedding. So well, I think the story of this book is really nice. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. I don't think it's enough for S tier. I think it's actually a little bit too much going on, but I really like this book. So was Cabin Fever. I'm gonna give this one S tier. I think I'm probably gonna give a lot of these S tier, but it's a good book. And the title, I mean, it's exactly what it's like. It's just Greg going through a cabin fever, and Greg is kind of mean to Rowley, but a lot is happening in this book too. But I think it's done a little bit better than The Ugly Truth. Next up is The Third Wheel, and this book's alright. It's just about the Valentine's dance, basically, but I feel like it's a little bit too specific of a topic, and literally the last straw has a Valentine's dance in it, and but in the third, I guess Greg kind of gets a little bit of karma of what he did to Rowley in Cabin Fever, and but I don't think it's like a great book. That is hard luck, and I just and every time I come across this book, it's hell expensive, but I just decide to buy it. It's a good book for sure because it's kind of about Greg has bad luck, but then he finds a magic 8 ball under his brother's bed and it changes everything for him. So I'll give it S tier for sure. So it's my favorite book. in the series properly. Next up is the long haul. I guess it's like I guess it's a decent book. I'll give it B tier. I think I mean I guess the road trip idea is like a decent idea. Even though it's been used like 3 or 4 times in the series. So it, but I still think it's not a bad book. But this book introduces the pig, and I think lots of people really hate the pig. So I think B tier is good. Next up is Old School. I'm gonna give this one A tier. I'll put it above Ugly Truth. This book is just about Greg, like, kind of going back in time and seeing what like, the old world was like. And I think he discovers that it's a lot different. And then he goes to Hardscrabble Farms at the end of the book. And I like the idea of Hardscrabble Farms. And I also like Still a Scratch. But there is a plot twist at the end of the book where we find out that Still a Scratch isn't real. And it was actually Greg's dad, Frank, that made it up. I would give this book S tier, but I want to be a little bit more strict with my book rating because I really like this series and I really like every book. So I'm probably not going to give it S tier. It's a little bit double down. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think this looks that great. Some people do like it, but not too many people like it. And and I just think it's just about Halloween. And just like what I said about the third wheel, I think it's a little bit too specific of a topic. And also, well, Greg wastes a lot of Frank's money on the French horns. And he just makes. So, he's kind of a hypocrite, too. Next up is The Getaway, and I actually like this book a lot more than a lot of other people. So I think in my opinion, it's B tier. I feel like this book is actually pretty full. I feel like it's a little bit more full of a book than The Long Haul. But also, the more you read it, the more you realize that Jeff is kind of running out of ideas. So that's that's kind of a thing. But this book starts off by like Greg going like going to the plane, going on a plane, and then what ends? Then he goes to what's supposed to be paradise, but he calls it a nightmare. So next up is the meltdown. Okay, sorry, I'm kind of lagging, but I also think that this is a good book. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I think the best part of this book is definitely the snowball fight in the second half of the book. And the book the funny thing is that the book starts off with a heat wave, and we discover a lot. We also discover a lot about like the school, how it gives you half days sometimes, and also relies on the local weatherman who's wrong 50% of the time. Do you know where the chocolate is? No. Okay, I'm waiting for that chapter. Sorry, I had to have a brief interruption. But next up is Wrecking Ball, and I also think it's D tier. I don't know what's better, Double Down or Wrecking Ball, but I think Both of them are. I don't really like them. I mean, I guess it is kind of interesting how like they have to move, but really, the start of they kind of end up going nowhere. They just go to her grandma's basement at the end of the book. But I guess it is kind of a happy ending because Greg gets to stay with Rowley. And I feel like this is one of my. Oh wait, I already mentioned Rowley and Cabin Fever. Never mind. Okay. Next up is the deep end. And I remember when this book first came out, everybody didn't know what to think about this book. I feel like that, but I actually think it's not that bad of a book. I'm I'm putting all of the road trip books in a similar place, and the reason why is because they're pretty similar books. But I actually like the deep end. This was one of my first Wimpy Kid books, and I like the idea of Greg being in a group of friends, and I think he's kind of goes on one big adventure. It's a book that I think is underrated. Just like The Getaway. Next is Big Shot, and I really like this book. I'm gonna give it S tier. I'm gonna put it below The Last Straw, but I think it's a good idea, and it's kind of an idea that hasn't really been used before. I feel like the last time we saw Greg trying sports is in The Last Straw, and but that was soccer, and now he's trying basketball. And the whole book started off with when Greg landed a napkin in in a kid's glass, and he decided to go on the basketball team. He's not the best basketball player, but at the end of the book, he made the big shot. There's only two more books. Next up is Diaper Overload. And this book, I like the idea, but I just don't think it's that great. Not a lot really happens in this book. And this book is about Greg joining Roderick's band. I don't know why I said band like that, but Greg joining Roderick's band, and it's it's a good idea, but I don't know. I just don't think it's that great of a book. Last up is No Brainer, and this is also a D tier book in my opinion. It's not that great, but it's kind of tied with other two D tier books. It's it's the newest book, even though Hot Mess, the, the next book, is gonna come out very soon. But No Brainer. It's an alright book. It's kind of just about Greg moving schools, but he doesn't really. But he just like in Wrecking Ball, he doesn't really get anywhere from the start of the book to the end. But now we're at the end. But there's one thing you guys might have noticed: the F tier is empty. So I'm gonna put one D tier book into F tier, but they're all kind of equal. So I don't know which one to put.